Edgar Evernever might be charming and oh so accommodating, but he's got ulterior motives written all over his face. It's clear that he's the biggest threat Riverdale has yet to go up against. But from the looks of it, only Betty Cooper is hot on his trail. Will Veronica, Jughead, and Archie join Betty's plight against the growing cult? Or do they already have enough on their plates? Watch until the end to find out why the little town of Riverdale might get wiped off the map completely.
I believe the farm can help you see that.
The one and only Edgar Evernever. Things haven't been looking too good for Riverdale ever since Edgar Evernever moved to town. The mysterious new age health guru hasn't been wasting any time. However, he's still managed to keep a low profile. The infamous cult leader has been gaining popularity and lost souls are currently flocking to his cause. We've known about Edgar for quite some time now, but we only just got to see him in Chapter 51, Big Fun. This, Heather's musical-inspired episode, made way for Edgar's big debut. Fans were thrilled to see actor Chad Michael Murray slow clapping his way into the limelight. But that doesn't make them any less suspicious. In Chapter 52, The Raid, we finally get to see Edgar flash across the screen for more than a second. It's obvious that he's a true-born cult leader. After all, he's got away with words and knows how to charm a crowd. From the looks of it, Edgar knows how to utilize a lost soul, which is probably why his daughter Evelyn often does his evil bidding. If there's one thing we couldn't help but notice, it's that Edgar, or Eddie, as Cheryl likes to call him, seems way too young to be the father of a 17-year-old teenager.
I knew my dad would like it.
This brings us to our first theory. Evelyn isn't Edgar's real daughter. Evelyn Evernever is Little Miss Perfect, and she's also Daddy's little girl. She's often seen boasting about her incredible father and his lavish community, the farm. She's been recruiting damaged teenagers to her father's side since we first met her in Chapter 37, Fortune and Men's Eyes. So what the heck is up with this nitty-gritty character? We don't know about you, but we highly doubt that Evelyn is Edgar's true-born daughter. She's much too young and seems a little too obsessed with Edgar. In fact, some might even think that she's in love with him. So here's our theory. Edgar adopted Evelyn from the Sisters of Quiet Mercy when she was just a kid. He trained her to become his master recruiter, like many cult leaders often do. We're also not so sure that Evelyn is as young as she looks. In fact, she's so mature, it's a little freaky. Could Evelyn be posing as a student to get close to the young and vulnerable teens in Riverdale? Well, at this point, we wouldn't be surprised. Here's another theory that might just knock your socks off. Edgar is totally obsessed with Redheads. Remember when Betty told Cheryl that Evelyn was trying to recruit her? Well, we think Edgar is the one who put her up to it. Although this might seem a little random, hear us out. First of all, Edgar never conducts interviews with newcomers, but he showed up to greet Cheryl like it was no big deal. We're pretty sure that he also recruited Ethel Muggs, you know, the Griffins and Gargoyles fanatic who also happens to be a redhead. On top of that, Cheryl's twin was a redhead and seems to be shackled up at the farm as well. And most of all, everyone is after the Red Paladin. And hello, Archie is the #1 redhead in town. Heck, even Miss Grundy seems to have an affinity for redheaded students. In ancient civilization, redheads were believed to have magical powers. Could this be why Edgar is giving redheads special handouts? Because if so, he's about to get caught red-handed. Okay, alright, enough about redheads. It's time to focus on everyone's favorite blonde bombshell. Who will Betty see? Out of everyone in Riverdale, Betty Cooper has the most reasons to be a lost little soul. Not only is her father a psychopath serial killer, but her mother is a cult member with a hidden agenda. On top of that, her sister is completely unhinged, and Betty is responsible for Chick's demise.
You're not my brother!
She's got a boatload of secrets that she doesn't want the public to know about, and Edgar Evernever has them all on tape. Luckily for Betty, she has a good head on her shoulders and isn't susceptible to the onslaught of powerful men. She's hell-bent on cracking Riverdale's biggest mystery, but there's one thing standing in her way: Evelyn Evernever. From the looks of it, Betty will have to pull off the performance of a lifetime to get accepted into the farm. Here, she'll be able to see why her friends and family members have joined Edgar's forces. So who do you guys think Betty will see in Edgar's death-defying chamber? We'd put our money on Chick. After all, Betty definitely feels guilty for delivering him to her father, so seeing him alive and well might help her forgive herself. But would Chick's livelihood be enough to convert her for real? We wouldn't stake our reputation on it. The twin conspiracy. From the very beginning, Riverdale has made it painfully obvious that twins play a huge role in the series' many mysteries, so we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. This shoe in particular is a red stiletto belonging to Cheryl Blossom, who might just be getting the wake-up call of a lifetime. Despite being twins, Cheryl and Jason look nothing alike. That is, except for their stellar red hair, of course. So here's our theory. Cheryl isn't actually Jason's twin. Nope. We think that just like her mother, Cheryl was adopted by the Blossoms when she was just a baby, and Jason's real twin was separated from him at birth and stored for another purpose. Have you guys ever wondered why Jason was a year older than Cheryl and dating Penny's older sister? Well, that makes two of us. Is it possible that the Blossoms adopted Cheryl and groomed her to become Jason's wife? If so, history was seriously about to repeat itself. But wait, what happened to Jason's real twin? Could he be the one we saw Clifford Blossom shoot in season 1? If so, this could explain why Cheryl saw Jason in Edgar's special chamber.
Edgar took me to a room, closed the door, and there was Jason.
Despite him being, long gone and all. We've got another twin theory coming up, so stick around. Meanwhile, let's focus on Betty and Evelyn's very obvious feud that's undoubtedly going to escalate as the season 3 finale comes to a close. Evelyn is coming after Betty. When we first meet Evelyn Evernever, we see her try to befriend Betty in the blue and gold office. She comes off as strange and manipulative, which immediately sounds Betty's alarms. From then on, Betty and Evelyn have clearly had it in for each other, but in the most low-key way possible. It's amazing that Betty has managed to keep her rage to herself, especially since Evelyn's interference has caused Betty her childhood home, college fund, and family. Well, it looks like Dark Betty is coming back to town, because she's definitely at her breaking point. They've released a short promo of episode 18, and it's here that we see Betty Cooper lose her cool. She slams Evelyn into the wall and tells her she's going to kill her. Although Evelyn may come off as sweet and innocent, she's got a murderous look in her eye, and we wouldn't put it past her to do anything it takes to ensure that the farm succeeds. After Betty's threat, Evelyn might take it upon herself to get rid of the ever-so-curious Betty Cooper. So guys, beware, the real Evelyn might soon show her face. The Living Dead. If there's one thing that's got Riverdale fans shook, it's the fact that Alice Cooper and Cheryl Blossom just admitted to seeing dead people with their own 2 eyes. Now that's seriously messed up, but seeing as it's not the first time Riverdale folk have seen things that weren't really there, we wouldn't be surprised if their reveries turned out to be hallucinations. Are we the only ones who noticed that Kevin saw Midge after accepting one of Evelyn's homemade brownies? We don't think so. Much like the Sisters of Quiet Mercy used to jingle jangle to convince their patients that the Gargoyle King was real, Edgar could be using the same substance to fool his cult members. He might be serving them some herbal tea with a side of jingle, asking them about their deceased loved ones, and then making them believe they're still alive, but only at the farm. What do you guys think? Are these people alive? Or are they the result of an intoxicated heavy conscious? Alive and well. We promised you another twin theory, and here's its better half. Jason faked his death to be with Polly on the farm, so it's very possible that Cheryl did indeed come face to face with the living and breathing Jason Blossom. Although we like to believe that witches and wizards are real, we don't think Edgar has any magical powers whatsoever, so something fishy is definitely going on. Here's what we really think is happening. The Blossoms gave one of their twin boys up to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy in exchange for Cheryl. This way, the Blossom twin curse would never come true. Then, Edgar adopted Jason's real twin, Chick, Evelyn, and Charles Cooper, and raised them as his own children. He made Chick pretend to be Charles, leading to the Coopers committing a string of crimes. This served as blackmail, and now Edgar's got Betty's freedom wrapped around his finger. Since the Blossoms and the Coopers are the oldest families in Riverdale, controlling them would mean controlling the entire town. So basically, Polly and Cheryl believe Jason to be alive, but in reality, they're dealing with Jason's long-lost twin. And Alice is truly seeing Charles. However, she believes it to be a miracle because Charles convinced her that he had passed away. Soon, Edgar will have recruited the main Riverdale families and will be able to take over the town. But what on earth is he planning to do with it? Edgar is the Gargoyle King. Riverdale fans have pointed accusatory fingers at Warden Norton, Hiram Lodge, Penelope Blossom, and even Hal Cooper. But they have all managed to maintain their innocence, for now. Since Edgar and Evelyn Evernever moved to Riverdale around the same time, Griffins and Gargoyles became a hot commodity. We suspect that these two groups are linked. After all, the Sisters of Quiet Mercy have been scaring their patients into submission by using the Gargoyle King's rule for decades. And since Edgar is now using the Sisters of Quiet Mercy as his headquarters, we're led to believe that he's doing this for a reason. Although Evelyn is never showcased playing the Deadly Quest game, she doesn't seem to be threatened by it, which is peculiar. Could Edgar be the Gargoyle King? Or is he playing a different game entirely? Ascension Night. Edgar Evernever might come off as a kind, generous, and soothing guru, but he's a villain if we've ever seen one. Cult leaders are often charming and gifted with silver tongues, and they'll whisper into vulnerable people's ears until they get what they want: power and money. By now, it's obvious that Ascension Night is going to be a pretty big deal, and since Griffins and Gargoyles players keep poisoning themselves with cyanide, we're led to believe that the show is mimicking real-life events. On November 18, 1978, a horrendous event that is now referred to as Jonestown took place. This deadly affair is living proof of how dangerous cults can be. The cult in question was named People's Temple Agricultural Project, which has a lot in common with the farm. So we believe that Edgar Evernever is recruiting people, giving them what they want, accumulating their life savings, and preparing them for ascension, aka death by fresh aid. Jonestown claimed its victims by poisoning a large barrel of Flavor Aid, which sounds a lot like what is happening in Riverdale. If Edgar is truly the ruthless cult leader we believe him to be, he'll probably trick his followers into drinking the Kool-Aid before taking off with their life savings. So when will Ascension Night happen? Probably when the sociopathic Edgar Evernever gets bored with reigning supreme.
What do you want to know?
Does this theory seem too far-fetched, or are we onto something? Let us know in the comments. Give this video a big thumbs up if you think Archie, Veronica, Betty, and Jughead will join forces to take Edgar down. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to The Things to catch the latest Riverdale news. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.